Welcome back to the I Can Do Anything podcast. My name is Colin. I'm sitting in my guest bedroom, otherwise known as my office, here on a beautiful Monday afternoon. Martin Luther King Day. The cultured Trine University has Martin Luther King Day off. I'm scrolling through the NBA schedule of games for today, and there's a bunch of games on. There's actually games on right now. I'm recording this at 1:35 p.m., and the Thunder are playing the Knicks. They're up 61-40. And towards the end, almost halftime, and then the Bulls and the Cavs are playing. The Bulls are up 31-18 at the end of the first quarter. Looks like there's a bunch of games today. There's three TNT games tonight. Capped off by the Lakers and the Warriors. Their first meeting since Christmas Day when LeBron got injured. LeBron will not be playing tonight, unfortunately, so that kind of makes that game a dud. Lonzo Ball is now out for, I think it said 2 to 4 weeks, 4 to 6 weeks, something like that. So I guess that's where I'll start. The Lakers are, two of their top three players, 3 or 4, 5 maybe. Two of their 5 starters are out. For the foreseeable future. I think LeBron will come back before 4 to 6 weeks. I think he'll come back before Lonzo will, but their record's not as bad as I thought it was going to be. I think that if they could go 500 with LeBron out, that's more than, it's better than the Cavs did when LeBron missed some games, like 3 years ago, something like that. I think they went like 0-8 with LeBron out. So I think it's a positive if they can go around 500. I think right now they're at 5-7 without LeBron, I want to say. Let me look that up. Let's see. Okay, so since December 25th, they won that game. The game that LeBron went out on Christmas Day. They've won 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games, and they've lost 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 games. So they're 5-8 since LeBron went out. They'll likely lose again tonight against the Warriors, putting them at 5-9. And then they've got on Thursday, they've got a 3-day break. They got the Timberwolves on Thursday, the Suns on Sunday. So they could be, it could very easily be 7-9 by Sunday. And then Tuesday next week, they've got the 76ers. If LeBron doesn't play in that game, I don't see them winning that game. So 7-10, and then Clippers the following Thursday, and then the Warriors again the following Saturday. So they're probably not going to get to 500 by the time he comes back. My guess is that he comes back sometime in the next week and a half to 2 weeks. I know that I think he's cleared to practice now. While I'm talking about the Warriors, though, Boogie Cousins played for the first time against the Clippers the other night. I did watch a little bit of that game. He played well. He hit like 3 threes, which is scary for them to add such a dominant post scorer that can shoot threes like that. There were a couple plays where he would set like high like roll screens or like down screens for Clay on the wing, and the center would have to help onto Clay as the guy that was guarding Clay would come around the screen, which left Boogie Cousins wide fucking open, and he knocked him down. There was one time where he didn't shoot one, and then he passed it, and then set another screen, got the ball back again wide open, and shot that one and made it. So I think as long as he's shooting threes like that confidently, the Warriors just got even fucking. I think that's inevitable. Obviously, when you add an all-star, even somebody coming off an injury like a torn Achilles, you're obviously going to get better. But the Warriors are really they're fucking scary good now. He was running the floor really well. scoring in transition. I mean, it's just scary that they added a guy who's so dominant in the post. And in his first game back, what he did well or best, I guess, in that game wasn't even scoring in the post. Like, he just added another guy that can run with him in transition and another guy that can shoot threes. And I think that's what maybe like critics of the Boogie Cousins signing or acquisition for the Warriors, this is said that maybe, this is going to threaten their ability to play fast. But from every indication that I got in that game against the Clippers, he can run the floor still. He can shoot threes. So the Warriors are scary fucking good. I don't see them losing in the They probably won't lose in the playoffs. I bet they sweep all the way through the playoffs. They may lose a game or two to some heroics out of James Harden, if James Harden can will the Rockets to the Western Conference playoffs. It'll all depend on seeding, really. But yeah, I could see the Warriors very easily sweeping through the playoffs, unless the Lakers are able to get LeBron healthy and get all these guys healthy and find a groove in late April to May through the playoffs. And again, it'll depend on seeding. I don't think the Warriors, if LeBron and the Lakers are healthy and playing well, I don't see them sweeping past LeBron, but I think they still probably get past the Lakers. And again, unless, I mean, it's easy for me to say this when the Lakers are playing the way they are, just because you see them without LeBron, and it's hard to imagine them being a contender. But you gotta keep in perspective what LeBron does bring to a team when he's healthy. And again, it'll all depend on whether or not LeBron's healthy and just the way he takes care of his body. I think they're being really precautious about this growing injury. I don't know what growing injuries generally, like how long they generally sideline somebody, but it seems kind of long. But when was like, it was like a month ago, I guess. So he's almost missed a month. The 25th. Today is the 21st. So, he's going to miss a month, a little more probably than a month, maybe 5 weeks. So I don't know if that's regular or not for a growing injury, but I don't see LeBron coming back unhealthy or incapable of playing the way that we're accustomed to him playing. Another game that I watched the other night was the Thunder and somebody. Oh, it was the Thunder and the Lakers. It was the game that I don't think a lot of people were expecting the Lakers to win. What was that, Thursday night? Yeah, Thursday night. The Lakers beat the Thunder 138 to 128, and Lonzo Ball played really well. The Lakers started off really, really shitty. They started off horrible, actually. And then the second and even the third unit kind of got them back into the game. Kuzma played really well down the stretch. He finished with 32 on 55% shooting, 11 of 20 from the field, 8 rebounds, 4 assists, but 4 turnovers. Ingram, who hasn't played very well as of late, only had 8 points in 37 minutes, shot 1 of 9 from the field, 11%. 0 of 2 from 3. He did have 11 assists, though, and he's kind of playing with LeBron out. He's kind of playing point guard, especially when Lonzo Ball's not in the game. When in that like late first quarter, early second quarter, when Luke Walton sat the starters for a little period there, minus Brandon Ingram. Ingram was running the point with like Svi and Stevenson out there, and Michael Beasley and Josh Hart. I think there was a lineup of Ingram, Hart, Beasley, Zubac, and Svi, and with Mo Wagner in there too. And Ingram runs the point really well, and the 11 assists kind of goes to say, what am I trying to say? The 11 assists kind of illustrates that. But Lonzo played pretty well too. Hit some big shots down the stretch. He finished with 18 on 41% shooting, was 4 of 10 from 3. He normally does not take that many threes. I just like the fact that he's shooting them. especially at this point in the season. Like you gotta just let it fly, and at least make people respect the fact that you're gonna shoot it. And if you're gonna shoot 40% from three, eventually people are gonna start to respect the fact that like maybe they should put a hand up. I just got completely changing subjects. I just got a notification from, I believe it was from ESPN, a cool little story on that's titled "Tom Izzo, the Draymond Whisperer." Let me read just a couple snippets from this article from ESPN. The Michigan State coach watched the final play of regulation unfold. A star teammate clapping for the ball, only not to get it. He examined the body language of two bickering teammates, trying to look at all the angles as if he were a detective trying to uncover any clue to explain what transpired. On this November day, Izzo was overcome with concern, not over his 11th-ranked Spartans' upcoming opponent, Louisiana Monroe, but over what happened between Golden State Warriors Draymond Green and Kevin Durant more than 2,300 miles away in Los Angeles. Izzo picked up the phone and repeatedly called and texted Green, bombarding the All-Stars phone as if he were recruiting the power forward all over again. He needed to know that his prized pupil was okay, because when Green goes dark on him, the Spartans coach knows something is wrong. He blew it off like every tough guy does, saying, "I'll get through it." I just think it's cool that Izzo stays in contact with these guys. I really like Coach Izzo. I met him numerous times at Michigan State basketball camp, and just think he's a really genuine, like down to earth, very humble, very likable coach in an atmosphere and in a profession that is normally thought of as a very grimy, slimy type of person. When you think of college basketball coaches, you think of Rick Pitino, and I just think of Rick Pitino's hair, and it just sort of, his hair is as slimy as his business dealings and his recruiting tactics. And I think that a lot of people think of college basketball coaches at that level as really just not very good people. And I think a lot of people, after what happened at Michigan State over the past last year, basically, with the Larry Nassar stuff, then trickling into basketball with Coach Izzo and some of the former Michigan State Spartans not being disciplined in certain ways that maybe some people thought they should have been disciplined. I think he may have started to, in a lot of people's eyes, receive that same type of, I don't know. I think he just, his image certainly took a couple steps back as far as the casual viewer of college basketball, or the casual, somebody who's not really close to Michigan State, and maybe being close to Michigan State blinds me a little bit from seeing some of the negatives or some of the bad in Coach Izzo. But I just really have a lot of respect for him. I've always kind of been semi-critical of how, he's in the Basketball Hall of Fame now, and I've sort of been critical over the past like 5 years or so, just how revered he is in the basketball world. He made it to the Final Four, I want to say like 5 or 6 times now in his career, and there was a stretch there that was broken, like I think 4 or 5 years ago, where he could tell recruits that if you stay at Michigan State for 4 years, thus far, anyone who's stayed for 4 years takes a trip to the Final Four. But he only won one championship in 2000. I remember it vividly. That was 2000 through, that was really the height of my Michigan State fandom. I certainly still pay attention and catch as many games as I can, but I don't let it fuck my day up the way that I used. If Michigan State lost in the past, like, I was not a good person. And now I just kind of, I'm not going to let it mess my day up or ruin the next day and trickle on and affect my overall attitude and my overall happiness. But Michigan State did play, they escaped Nebraska the other night. I want to say that was Thursday night. Nebraska played really well. They've got a good program now. I don't remember their coach's name, but Izzo spoke very highly of him. in the program in his post-game interview. Cassius played really well. Cassius is really good. I think Cassius Winston is one of the best point guards, and he's only a junior. I think he's one of the best point guards that Michigan State has had in the last 10 years. And Michigan State has kind of been known for having really great point guards certainly over Izzo's tenure at Michigan State, which now is like, I don't know when Izzo started, but he's been there since 2000 at the very least, and probably 5 to 10 years before that. So, he's going on 25 years or something like that, as the Michigan State head basketball coach. And I think Cassius Winston is one of the better point guards that he's ever had. Names that come to mind are obviously Mateen Cleaves, who was the point guard on that 2000 championship team. And I think because he won a championship, will always be thought of as probably one of Michigan State's best point guards. But just as far as overall talent goes, Drew Neitzel comes to mind, who was just a great scorer, but not really. He's a great shooter, I guess. He wasn't necessarily a great all-around scorer, but he was a great shooter. I think he was a good leader. I think a Keith Appling, who was a great point guard and has now gotten himself into some legal trouble. What other names come to mind? Now I'm blanking on Michigan State point guards. Who was Kalen Lucas was one of my favorites. I think he was really, really great. A really speedy guy that had a lot of talent in a lot of different areas. Wasn't necessarily great at anything, but was just a really great all-around point guard. Could do everything pretty well, but wasn't like outstanding at anything. Tum Tum Nairn was good, but couldn't shoot for shit. Certainly he played with great pace. Helped get other guys involved, but wasn't really a threat offensively, so to speak. But Cassius Winston is really good, and Michigan State played really well on the road against a really good Nebraska team. Nebraska probably more than likely won't make the NCAA tournament, but they'll probably be a bubble team. And if they do make it, they'll probably go out in the first round or something like that. But Nebraska, the Big Ten overall is really, really good this year. While I'm talking about college basketball, let me pull up the Big Ten standings thus far. January is kind of like the middle or toward the semi-beginning of the conference season. Big Ten men's basketball standings. I haven't talked a ton about college basketball. I certainly don't pay as much attention to it as I do NBA. Michigan State is 7-0 in conference play. Michigan just lost to Wisconsin. Their first loss of the their first loss of the season. They're now 17-1 and 6-1 in the conference. Maryland is second at 7-1, followed by Michigan, and then Purdue, Iowa, Wisconsin, Minnesota, Indiana, Nebraska. Ohio State is having a really down year. Northwestern, a down year. Rutgers, Illinois, and Penn State. Illinois back in like the D. Brown and what's his name? Played on the Cavs. Started his season or his career with the Jazz. Darren Williams. Back in that day with Luther Head, Darren Williams, and is that right? Darren Williams? That doesn't sound right. What was his name? Anyways, yeah, Illinois used to be a good basketball program but that was a while ago, I guess. I'm thinking back into the early 2000s. So they really haven't been good for quite some time. But Michigan State is at the top of the conference. I was initially worried about this team going into the season. And Michigan State seems to do a lot better when everybody's not talking about them, when they're not a national, a team favored to win a lot of games. In the past 2 or 3 years, Michigan State has been picked to win national championships by a lot of people in the preseason polls, and then going into March Madness, a lot of the so-called experts have picked Michigan State to win the championship, and they just don't play very well and like that. The teams that do really well and go to the Final Four at Michigan State are always teams like this that weren't really highly thought of at the beginning of the season or even really throughout the season, and don't have like crazy good recruiting classes. And Michigan State has certainly exceeded my expectations thus far this season at 16-2 overall. I want to say their losses were to not Duke early on. Some really good team, some really high-ranked team early on. I'm really excited to watch. I haven't watched any Michigan games, but certainly from what I see and from what I hear, they're really good this year, obviously, and I'm just really excited for the Michigan State games. Those games used to kill me when I was a kid. When Michigan would beat Michigan State, which didn't happen very often back then, Michigan has certainly kind of had Michigan State's number the past couple years. And a lot of that, John Beilein's a really great coach, and he's gotten some really great recruits over the past years. I think in a lot of ways he's out-recruited Tom Izzo. I do like some of the freshmen this year, but they're definitely not like lottery picks, like Jaren Jackson. And wow, did I really forget his name? The guy that's on the Hornets now, that's about to be in the dunk contest. I forgot his name. He kind of pissed me off last season. I felt like he was trying to raise his draft stock and just playing to be a lottery pick and wasn't really playing to win at Michigan State. And it's hard to blame the guy when you're trying to play to make a bunch of money and to show NBA scouts that you can play at the NBA level. So you're kind of playing sort of the NBA style of now shooting a lot of threes, and he just didn't attack the rim the way I thought he should have, and didn't like will his way with his dominant. Why can't I think of his name? Anyways, you know who I'm talking about. What else do I got to talk about today? Let's see what else is going on in NBA basketball for the day. So let's see. Friday, Saturday, Sunday. What's today? Monday. Mavs Bucks is later. Pistons Wizards in the afternoon. Magic Hawks. Kings Nets. Pelicans Grizzlies. Celtics Heat. Sixers Rockets will be a good one. Trailblazers Jazz will be a good one. And then Warriors Lakers will probably be a blowout. I'll probably watch Rockets and Sixers for tomorrow night. Blazers Jazz to talk about tomorrow. I did see a story about a rumored Marc Gasol trade. I've always kind of thought of Marc Gasol as one of these guys that'll probably stay with one franchise his entire year, but if Marc Gasol were to be traded, I don't know what his possible landing spots are, but if he were to be traded, he could certainly add a really great piece to a contending team, depending on what you'd get for him. But let's see who he's rumored to be on the trading block for. NBA trade rumors. Marc Gasol to Lakers makes sense. Clippers could explore Gasol trade. 4 potential Marc Gasol trade destinations, courtesy of Hoops Hype, which is a USA Today sports affiliate. Let's see. Charlotte Hornets, which would suck for him. Washington Wizards, that would suck. Los Angeles Clippers, Sacramento Kings. I don't know. I don't really put too much into the trade rumor thing. I just pulled out an old piece of note paperwork that I've got from past episodes that says Draymond Green trade ? And that whole thing kind of fell through. I haven't really heard anything since their little dust up, in that little thing I just referenced in that Tom Izzo article with what's his name, Kevin Durant. I think that's all I got for today. To tune back in tomorrow. Thanks for listening. I got nothing. Have a good night.